I'm going to have a look at all pairs in preparation for next week. I want to say that there's going to be quite a lot of doubt in this video as I have a few scenarios in mind and I want to look over them. I make these videos for myself, which is how I started and how I'm continuing them to look at different trade opportunities. I'm not posing any kind of decisive view on something that must happen or even is very, very likely to happen. I'm trying to find opportunities for myself to take trades. If you're looking for someone who is very sure about the next move and labels it decisively, that is not me. There are lots of teachers and people out there who would charge for that information, but that's not what I'm doing here. I'm simply trying to find trade opportunities for myself, and if that in some way assists someone else, that's great. But my plan here is simply to go over charts in line with Elliott Wave analysis as I interpret it, and to try to find what opportunities are present for the next week, and with the view in mind that there are changes at different times in the market and I have to remain flexible. I'm not usually so decisive about particular moves. So I want to make that very clear. Although I have guides and plans, I keep them flexible enough where that's an alternative view that I have can materialize if it does happen, though, as I've said many times before, I try to stick with what is most likely and what is clearest, and I try to trade what I have a very strong view on. However, there is always another interpretation, and that is what I'm talking about here. So with that information in mind, I'm not going to start with the dollar this week. I'll deal with it later because the dollar pairs have not been so good to trade lately. And also I want to pose the possibility that there is actually a high in for the dollar. It's not my preferred view, but I can count it that way. And given that the dollar is not reacting well in a bullish sense, and it kind of like takes these false spurts forward and then kind of relapses into like a kind of like drift downwards. I'm wondering if there may be something more bearish going on, but I'll deal with that later. I want to start with some trade opportunities for next week and the pairs that have been working well. Starting with Aussie New Zealand. For now, I'll start with the weekly chart. For now, I am looking at this to continue higher. Now, I talked about a low between 107.50, 106.50, like this area. And we did find that. To stick with the bearish view, which I prefer, I'll just mention something else a bit later, but I'm going to look at this now as a low being in with this strong green, similar to a hammer candle. Now, there was a small bearish reversal on Friday, but on the 1 hour chart, how I'm going to look at it right now is as a 5-wave move in 9 swings. Now the key here, I'll show both views because there's a chance this is an X wave for another move down, and I'll show that on the weekly chart too. But I'm going to look at this as 9 swings for now. So that's a bullish move. It's 1, 2, and then a long wave 1 for wave 3. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is a bullish sequence. So I'm going to hold that view for now, and I'm going to consider, so long as the downward move is corrective, I'm going to look for a buy opportunity into Monday and Tuesday to see if we've found a low in line with the plan I've been talking about for some time now. There is a view that this could be 7 as well, however, because this last swing here looks like it could be one single thrust up in 5. That is an alt view, and now going to the alt view, I'm sticking with the bearish one. That is the more likely one in my view and the one I want to take that I've been working on. But the issue I have for an alternate count is that this segment here, this looks like a simple 3-wave move. Now, how to fit that into another sequence right now, I'm not sure because there could be a number of possibilities. This could end up moving up in 3s and being a C wave here where there's A, B, and C. This could also be just a three-wave segment, which will then move lower. And so you have a series here, like for example, three very choppy waves to here, a three-wave correction, and something lower. That is a possibility. So because this has been impulsive, but it took a long while to get going, and just in case this does not move up higher, I wanted to show that alt idea that I'm running. I don't have a labeling for it, but because it's a three-wave move overall this segment here, I am considering it. But for now, I'm going to stick with what's been working, which is to the upside, matching the low that's been found, and a possible 9 sequence swing here for a first wave impulse. So any type of three-wave correction, a bit lower, and I will be buying that at the beginning of next week. Also consider that Friday's reversal was a very small candle with little action, whereas Thursday's was larger with more power. So I would certainly give favor to the bulls at this level. The overall idea is higher towards 114, above 114, as I mentioned. And that is my view here. So hopefully on early next week, there will be a trade in this one. Now, Euro New Zealand, I'm looking higher in this overall, but not quite yet. As I mentioned in Thursday's video, I was viewing this segment as not being impulsive, and what I'm going to do now is label it as an X wave. So what typically happens, I mean, yes, this sequence is three waves and may be enough overall, but considering this larger move took how long? This 5-wave impulse took from early February until the end of March, so almost 2 months. I'm more inclined to consider this three-wave move as the first part, and then a three-wave move here for an X wave, and then another sequence down, which would tie it into a deeper retracement to at least a 50 level, maybe 61.8. Yes, there is a chance that a low is in here. If it's very, very bullish, that can happen. Now, that's not how I'm preferring to view it. I am seeing this as corrective overall. So let's see if that sells off. Now, just to mention, I think on Thursday this coming week is the ECB conference. So there will be action for sure. Now, this weekly candle, it's not engulfing. It may work out, but looking at the larger swings, the smaller swings on the 4-hour chart, I am preferring a deeper low in this for now. And then, like I said, very bullish. At least it did here. It found this level I was talking about here with the triangulation. So there was a good level there for a trade. I was on vacation last week, so I wasn't looking at things until the end of the week. But yeah, there's some other pairs to talk about regarding last week. But so far in this, it's still very bullish. It's just a question if it comes down further, and right now that is definitely my preferred view here. Now, Euro Australian dollar disappointed. The sell-off here did work out very well, but it ultimately ended up as being a corrective sequence for a move higher. And now overall, it's looking kind of like this with 3 highs in there. So what I'm wondering is that if we found the low here, in fact, and we have something, like I mentioned on Thursday, something like an expanding diagonal for a first wave up, and we see something now like a correction down if Euro does get a bit weak, and maybe a turn higher. Now, I've been bullish on this pair. It's just my preferred view has been to see a new low beneath 136 for one more low, in line with the count here, which I adjusted. The original count had this as the low. But because of, on the daily swing, because this was only 3 waves, I was going with the head and shoulders. I'm not going to repeat all that. No one cares now. It's in the past. I will have to abandon the idea of a new low if we see a corrective move down. So that's fine to do. It's just that it's a very ugly type of thing, but it would be valid essentially as a kind of expanding diagonal for the first wave. And if we get a three-wave correction now, somewhat deeper, maybe towards 139, there may be a buy opportunity in there. I will go over this. I will follow this, as I like the idea on the bigger chart that a low has been found for Y, either here or on a new low. But the reason why I talk about a bottom now is because of the surprise move up that's invalidated the idea here of a three-wave move. And we made a new high. So although it's under resistance and I wouldn't buy it here, I am looking at the idea of a move back towards 139, 138 or wherever like that as the chance to buy this now, with the idea that a low is in for a strange expanding diagonal like that. So this is one I'm sitting back on, and we'll look into if it retraces as well, but I will be keeping an eye on it. Now, Euro Pound did sell off well, so I'm going with the B wave idea for the triangle, and that 5 ultimately is in. I'm viewing the triangle as ending here, and that this first segment is going to be the impulse. Now, there was no trade in this. I mentioned it's not the time to take a trade for me, and I didn't. So it broke this low as well here. So I'm going to view this as a continued bearish sequence for a move lower down. I don't have a bullish view on this now because it's invalidated both this area here and this one, which I marked as A with brackets here. So both those have been invalidated, and I'm not looking at this as some kind of like big correction. It may be like just breaking this low in turn, but I don't think so. I think it's now taking on a more bearish slant. How that falls in line with bullishness in the euro down under pairs, I cannot correlate everything like that, but I am bearish on this one as such. I try to find correlations between pairs. It works out sometimes, but not here. I don't have anything. It's suggesting lower for now, so maybe something like this, like a retest towards 8 even, possibly, but it looks like the original view was correct of this being 5. I vacillated on this and went back and forth, and this whole sequence proved a waste of time overall. Now, if it morphs into something else, I'll try to update, but for now I think the bears have it and that it will continue to look lower. Okay, Canadian dollar pairs, those did work out very well last week. There was a great buy opportunity on the US dollar Canadian chart on Monday and Tuesday morning. I went over that on Thursday. Now, the count overall hasn't changed. I found the X wave, not here, but here. That's fine, it's just a bigger three-wave move. And the impulse now, I am looking higher in this. I think it's already broken this. No, it has not broken this high, but in any case, I am looking higher above here for the Z idea, and preferably towards 138. Now, it may move higher than that. This correction's been a real bugger because originally I thought it was finished here, and this correction's been, at that point here, it was more than large enough. Now it's taken on a really unwieldy, awkward look. I mean, you can do it as 3 overall, but trying to label it as a Z wave higher. What I want to mention is that the whole sequence is choppy and corrective and has been a nightmare, except on the short side at certain points. But what I really want to mention is that this downward impulse remains valid until broken. So if we see a move up to 138 or 140 or something like that, I will still maintain the bearish slant. Now I have this view on all Canadian pairs, higher than lower. Let's see if that works out, because that's what I've been working for some time and it seems to be okay. The bearish moves 2 weeks ago in a lot of these pairs didn't work out, so that was very good because it moves higher in line with the bigger plan. So Euro Canadian, I still prefer the idea of a larger leading diagonal on this. I've been over this many times. So higher in this one as well. This ultimately ended as 3 waves. And I am looking for this higher. It looks like it may be on the verge of completing a 5 upswing, so there has a chance to make it a bit higher, some correction, and if we see another high like that and then a turn, that is my plan. So it would work within the leading diagonal. So I want to see another 3 out of this, basically. And in any case, I am looking bearish towards 147. So that falls in line with US Canadian dollar. I'm not trading this in the near term. I want to see this move higher and then reverse lower. That is the plan. I don't have a bullish view on this overall. I can speculate that, okay, it's going to make one more upward swing above 160. It could, and then turn. But that would alter views I have on other Canadian dollar pairs as well. And I'm not interested in taking a long position here. I'm interested in the leading diagonal until it fails. So that's what I'm running for now. And I think there will be a chance up here around 147 to get into a short trade. Okay, Aussie Canadian is moving up. I'm not going to spend any time on this, just that it has worked out despite how the idea here is B for ED. And this has worked out on the near term so far. I think this is undoubtedly 3 waves. And although it was steep towards the end, it reversed very well. And this overall I'm still maintaining is 3 waves, as I talked about in past videos. So higher and then lower. And so ultimately you get another 3-wave sequence like this. And then turn. So this falls in line with Euro and Dollar Canadian, Euro and US Dollar Canadian, in that we're going higher until hopefully it follows my plan of turning lower afterwards. Now New Zealand Canadian, this put in a really sick, perfect actually, hammer candle on that closed last week. What I would say about this pair, I do like the idea that this will turn lower too, though clearly, most importantly, this is 3 waves from October to now. So I can work an idea that it looks like 5-wave swings are close to a 5-wave swing is close to ending here. So maybe on the next high, what I can work here is if this stays corrective and we see something like this, it could put in a B-type wave, for example, in this sequence here, or an X wave rather, and then turn lower. I still like the idea that this too is going to turn lower overall. It's not a good one to trade essentially because unlike Euro and US Dollar Canadian, I don't have a 5-wave sequence to work with here as a standing printed impulse against which I can set up a future trade. So in this, I can best speculate that it's higher until lower, which is the same thing with the other dollar Canadian dollar pairs. And pound Canadian, this hasn't, I'm not dealing with this as well, but it's corrected from the low. The idea is that it's a correction from this low anyway. It's a shame. There was a lot of wasted time in here as I was dealing with this for quite a while in this sequence, and then lost track of it during this crooked nonsense. Okay, so pound, Aussie, Canadian. So that's the Canadian dollar pairs. They're in line higher than lower according to my plan. So that is how I'm going to continue to look at them. I think I'll go to the dollar now, just a second. Just to mention very briefly about pound New Zealand. This sequence is corrective. I mentioned this many times. Still looking for a wave 4 high in the 4 of 3 area here, which it's hit. I'm still viewing this bearishly. So my view on this is that it's essentially done. I thought it was done here, but it could be in line to be finished here. There's a lot of divergence going on. Not much has changed overall here, and it's probably done enough to make a high. So I'm not trading this, but I just wanted to say that although it's been choppy as hell, the overall idea that a 4 is in this pair, or a 4 is near, rather, because there have been a few fake high 4s in, I'm still viewing this as 4 being in at some point. So I'm not trading this. It's been a bit awkward, and if I see a really bearish setup, I will mention it. But for now, I just wanted to say that it is bearish overall, in my view. You know, I don't want to waste time on pairs like this that for like a number of months just do this. How are you going to trade that? You may be able to trade that on a very low time frame and make some money out of it, but it's not trending. It's corrective and it's a nightmare to deal with, in my opinion. So it's like too much effort for the reward, basically. Okay, let's have a look at the dollar. This has been an absolute, it's been a problem coming into here. This all worked fine. Found the low here. The sequence is here. Now, the best I can suggest here is that it's looking like it's in 3 again, up and down. So maybe it's putting in some kind of low here for a bullish move. Overall, I still like the bullish idea because it has not broken down yet, but there's a lot of divergence on the chart and it's sitting there like it could break down. So what I wanted to pose here, first of all, because the other dollar pairs, Euro, Pound, Aussie, New Zealand, they don't look bullish. So I don't want to go out of my way to say that, oh, there's a high in the dollar. I just want to kind of propose or postulate that there is a count for one being in, and that although the move down from, was it January? The January high has been choppy and corrective, and 3 overall here. There is the chance that a high is in because I can jig this count so that the ultimate, like the bigger 5 actually comes in here. And I can view the whole sequence then as being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would complete 5 of, how do I have this labeled? That would complete wave 5 overall for the bigger C or Y idea. Well, C basically. That would complete it overall and send this down. Now the issue is, the reason why that's not the preferred view is because the downward move from January has been corrective. This is a corrective sequence, in my opinion. I'm not viewing that as a leading diagonal. It would have to, maybe you could fit it into there and then view this segment as corrective, okay. But then this, I've also held a corrective count on as A, B, and 5 for C. So if there is a breakdown, I can switch counts. That's basically the point I want to make here. Because all these bullish attempts here, and there was another one here, they haven't worked out yet. So I'm cautious on this. I've said for a while that some of these dollar pairs are not worth trading. The effort is not there. The good stuff lately has been over in the down under pairs. So the dollar basically needs to show its hand. And if it's going to maintain a bullish slant for another move higher, it needs to get going. Now it may also be putting in some kind of ending sequence here with the ending diagonal or a triangle, I can't say, but I want to also mention, before I forget, that this 3-wave correction here is basically okay in size. The proportions between this and this for wave 2 are okay. Proportions are okay. Proportions matter. Size and time in Elliott Wave matter. So this fits, and I feel that I'm not stretching it to find the low there, which I was working for a number of weeks. So I'm maintaining that view. Now it needs to get going up. That's what I keep repeating. So if it fails again, I am not really willing to stretch this. Maybe it can make one more low, but it would have to turn around on a very quick spike low beneath 98.80, and in my opinion, very quick. So I'm not really willing to stretch this, as a proportion will get a bit weird to here, the other boxed area. So it needs to go up in my view. Now, I don't have another count on this. So if it, I don't want to speculate too much. I could force a leading diagonal out of this. If it does make another new low as well, and then the bounce is weak, there is the view that this whole sequence could be some kind of dastardly leading diagonal for a move lower, and that ultimately the dollar high is in here, as I mentioned already. That is possible, but there needs to be a bit more price action. For now, despite all the stops and starts, it's better to remain bullish on the DX until it fails. Looking at the other pairs, I'm still not convinced that this was 5 waves down. So I like the idea that this is going to move a little bit higher still. Maybe it is 5 waves down, but that's not how I'm viewing it. I'm not trading this pair. I mean, honestly, do you really want to waste your time dealing with this for how many months? Almost 3 to 4 months? Not really. I wouldn't anyway. I mean, look at all the great pairs that we've had in Euro New Zealand, Aussie New Zealand, even New Zealand US dollar, and even Australian US dollar is much better than this chop. So I'm not going to get tied up in this and strangled by kind of whipsaw action. So that sentence didn't work very well, but you get what I mean about this sequence of waves. Now, it's bearish overall in my view because it's just been a 3-wave correction, but again, it's moving up decently here from the little inverted hammer. So I'm not immediately bearish on this anyway. I'm not going to trade it anyway. I'm just kind of taking it as an exercise for now. Now, just to speculate, if you're going to switch to a bullish count on this, again, it would have to turn into some kind of leading diagonal. Something like that, if it's going to take on a bullish view. I'm not viewing this as, for example, I'm not viewing this as like wave 1, and then we have wave 2, and then 1 of 3 up to here. That's nonsense in my opinion. It's either bearish down or it's putting in some kind of terribly choppy correction for a first initial wedgie type move higher. Now I'm going to stick with the bearish count, just as I'm going to stick with the dollar bullish count for now. But again, it's possible that it's done enough for a low. It's got this kind of divergence look. So it may be in, but I don't know anyone. I don't see anyone treating this bullishly. And I mean, when everyone's on the same side of the trade, even in terms of just viewpoints, not actual not actual trades, but views on trades, that's not a good thing. I would rather be against the grain most of the time in terms of viewpoints and even in terms of lifestyle. For example, the main view on this, that it was a larger triangle, got blown through, particularly when this high failed, and then it got blown through here, and on cable I reset it for now a B-wave triangle. I still like the bearish view on this. This is another pair where it's hard to make a bullish case, in my opinion. So I'm viewing cable now in the same way. Let's stick with what's been working until it really fails. and that is dollar bullishness and Euro, Pound, Aussie, New Zealand bearishness. So I'm done speculating on a dollar reversal now for a dollar bear move. I just wanted to propose it in that I can make a count, and that if it continues to fail to rally, there will be justification for switching. So on the cable, briefly, same thing as on Thursday. One more high is preferred, 130, 131, something like that, and then a move down. So this is the backup view, B-wave triangle. Too many traders were onto the other one. I'm sure some good traders figured that out and considered this being a three-wave move and then took a long position overall. So that's the count on cable. One more low, still prefer beneath 118. Aussie US dollar, still looking for lower for wave D of the triangle. There is not yet any reason to change views. So I'm going to be very brief with this. Sorry, just one moment. I'm going to be brief with this and just say, because it's in threes overall, I am looking lower still. My preferred view is another gyration lower, E for the triangle and down. Now again, everyone sees this bloody thing, so it's not a secret anymore. You know, back here, if you were like this sequence, if you were proposing something like this, then you had some foresight, but now everyone sees the same thing basically in this, so it's another reason to be cautious. But for now it's working, so I'll stick with it too for D of the triangle overall. So I'm going to stay bearish on this pair. The key box here is this one for me. And no change here. It looks like it is going to move higher. I'm still trying to find an X wave now, since this bearish leading diagonal, it worked and then it stopped working, and that happens a lot in analysis, in short-term analysis anyway. And I'm looking for a three-wave move now. It looks like we're in the middle of it, and then down. That's my view on this. I'm still staying bearish on this, no change. So overall, dollar bulls need to kick it in, and these other pairs are bearish in my view, these four I just covered. One more thing to say about the dollar that I forgot. DX, bullish percentage right now, 39% or so, 38, something like that. So there's a low number of, not that many bulls. The sentiment is relatively low in the DX. So another reason to be bullish on it right now. It's not like we're up here when it was like 80% or so. Forget it. Now it's relatively low. Okay, quick look at gold. Again, this is not a market I trade. I'm abandoning this count. I'm going to view this as, I have to view this as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and continue on up. That's the bullish count. Alternatively, well, look, I've said before that if you're long, if I was long here, I would hope that I would have the courage to hold this. This is looking like a three-wave sequence, however, so just be smart with your stops unless you're wisely in from this region. Bullishness in gold right now is at approximately 79%. So a lot of people are bullish, a lot of traders are bullish on this right now. So it's another thing to be wary of, as this is also a three-wave move under resistance. The time to be long was down here at the end of a five-wave sequence for C. So again, it looks kind of like three waves here. So I would be cautious on this here at resistance. I don't have a signal that is going to turn over. I just want to point that out as two different views. The bullish one has been taking precedence, but at resistance here, it's not the time to initiate a long. There may be short positions to enter, however. Who knows? I don't deal with this though. Okay, two other pairs that have been working so well, two other charts that have been working well. Bitcoin has been working very well. I still like the idea for higher towards 1800, at least above 1350, 1400. So my view on this has not changed. I was lucky enough to find the low on this around 900 on the day it happened. So far, now again, like with gold, this does expose itself to three waves here. It could also be that wave one is in here and you have a correction of like this, three waves, and then another move higher. I have not bothered to label this beyond the initial 5 waves to here on the 4-hour chart. There's a correction. This is looking a bit flimsy here, so we may see a move lower in the near term, and I would judge that. Also, there's a lot of divergence coming in too on the chart, but overall the bigger view is intact. And since I managed to find 4 here, I am looking for higher overall. There is a possibility, just to propose another thing, I don't want to flood the charts with possibilities, as it's too easy to become diffident and doubtful with too many possibilities. But I will propose finally that if this is 3, and that if this is also 3, there is a chance for another move down. So this pair moves down violently. So just be careful with your stops on this. But overall, the main idea is higher. The backup idea is some type of bigger correction. And the other one that's been working well has been wheat. Here's the big picture on wheat. One more low. I'm looking for a low into the summer. June, July, August, something like that. And a turn, this is going to be fantastic if it works out. On Monday this week, price opened about $14 or $15 higher, but it sold off strongly, so it's in line with the bigger count. Now, through a friend, I got a number of fertilizer companies which all track the price of wheat. If you do an overlay chart between wheat and the fertilizer companies, they are essentially in line. So if we can find a low in wheat, it's very likely that we'll find a low in the fertilizer stock prices too. So there will be trades to come. I will go over those in detail when the time comes. But for now, in wheat, I'm looking for lower for a few more months. And if I'm lucky enough to get that right, then I think there will be a fantastic move up overall in wheat. And another one I was looking at was soybeans. I think it's not quite done yet, but I can view this move here as 5 waves. From, what is that, November 2015 through to July 2016. So I would prefer to see one more low. Now, maybe the low is in, but this overall move is 3 waves, and then a move higher above this high. So in soybeans, I'm looking at a 5-wave impulse here for now, 3-wave correction, and a move higher. So I'm not convinced right now that the low is in here. I would like to see one more gyration lower, but I want to point that out that I do have a valid, I have a valid 5-wave advance here, and so there's a chance to get in probably a bit lower. But in any case, in this region, holding this low. Okay, I think that's it. Just give me a second to see if I missed anything. I'm not going to deal with dollar yen. Right now, there may be a low coming into that, but I want to see some more price action. If I forgot anything, I will mention it in a separate video. And I wish everyone a good week ahead and profitable trades. And if you have any questions or you want to talk about anything, let me know. Cheers. Bye-bye.